muckers, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, and thank you so much for clicking on this video today. I really appreciate you being here, and I appreciate you choosing to spend even a little portion of your day with me. I've been going through my wardrobe. This is separate to the video. I'll leave it to like 30 seconds. I've been going through my wardrobe recently because it's been over a year since I moved out, and I've collected a lot of clothes within that time, and whenever I'm going through it, I'm realizing that literally every second hoodie is a Teddy Fresh one. So for the next few videos, I'm going to be rotating through my Teddy Fresh looks. I have so many of them. I have spent so much money on that website, and I mean, the thing is, I love these designs and I love the quality of, this is not sponsored or not PR or anything like that, clearly, but literally, like, if you were ever considering getting Teddy Fresh, all I'll say to you is, you know, especially internationally, like, getting the shipping is a lot of money. However, these are great materials and great, like, working conditions and stuff. Anyway, sorry, this is not a PR. But I'm excited for today's video because it is super messy, and I saw so many people talking about this. But basically, Dennis, Def Noodles, is suing Keemstar. Now, this is something that Dennis has kind of threatened that he was going to do. So whenever I saw this happen, a lot of people were messaging me being like, are you shocked? Like, what are you thinking? Like, he finally acted out against Keemstar, because if you know, they have like a long history of like back and forth and back and forth. I honestly wasn't surprised because, number one, I thought it was predictable because these two people are, in my opinion, equally as obsessed with each other. And I'm not saying that in a negative way, because I genuinely think that this is their jobs. Like, it's no wonder that any video that Dennis makes with Keemstar in the title does incredibly well, and any tweet with Def Noodles' name that Keemstar does very well. These people go hand in hand and really work off of each other. I don't think they want to admit that, but I think from an outsider's point of view, that's exactly what this comes across as. So whenever I find out that there would be a lawsuit which is not going to go anywhere and is literally just going to cause drama and, you know, cause conversation between these two people, I thought it was incredibly predictable, number one. But then number two, I thought that this was going to happen because Dennis literally said that he was planning on doing this. Dennis is a drama YouTuber on this platform, and a good few months ago, actually, wow, if someone can remind me of the date of it, please let me know, but Dennis said that he wanted to do, it was like a class action lawsuit. I think that's what it was called, where basically you get a bunch of people together to sue one person. However, is that the terminology, class action lawsuit? It's something like that, where a lot of people come together with similar issues to sue one person. And Dennis said that he had so many people reaching out to him that had problems with Keemstar, and this was going to be a big lawsuit and so many people against him. And now it's just turned out that it's just Dennis. So I don't know if he was lying about that or what, but I mean, nothing really came of that. And I mean, it's just him suing him now. But anyway, my overarching point is I wasn't surprised at this whatsoever. I genuinely just thought that it was a matter of like days or weeks before this would come out. So we're gonna get to the lawsuit, and we're gonna go through it. We're gonna talk about why Dennis is suing Keemstar, and we're gonna talk about my opinion on it, which is that I think that it is gonna go nowhere. I'm not even a lawyer, and I'm like, you're suing Keemstar for defamation? Sure. Like, Keemstar has made a lot of awful, like, statements about you and stuff like that, but you're not gonna be able to prove that he defamed you enough to take income away from you, because you, Dennis, never stopped making videos about Keemstar. You never stopped making drama videos. So therefore, how are you going to prove loss of income, which is how you win a defamation case, whenever you didn't stop making videos about said person or videos in general? I feel like he would have a great case if he had, you know, even just like taken a break for, which I think he needs, no shade, just because he does a lot. You know, if he had taken a break to relax for a bit, then he could have even just been shady and said that he took that break because he was forced to because of Keemstar, and then the lawyer would be like, okay, well, you took this amount of time off work from filming videos, you make this amount of money per video, so you would have posted this amount of videos within this amount of time, so Keemstar therefore lost you this amount of money in theory, but he never really took time off. So this is just going to be a defamation case based off of tweets, which we're aware of Teddy Westbrook, and without a crystal ball, defamation lawsuits, especially within the YouTube sphere, go nowhere. So I think this is just a game of, let's throw money and waste it from both parties. So Dennis doing it to Keem, and then it will be Keem doing it in a response. Also, exciting announcement, I'm very excited for it. I am now daily vlogging every single day on this channel. I just posted my first one, and if you're watching this right now, so I know that you're here, comment on it something about Dolly, my dog. So I have animals, right? And I'll comment something about Dolly specifically, and I'll know that you came from this video, and I'll heart and respond back to all of you. I'm very excited about the daily vlogs. They'll be coming as well as these videos every single day, so I appreciate all of your support, and we're gonna get into this now. I have a lot of opinions. So, Frenemy's Room had posted the lawsuit, and I'm just gonna go through it and read it to you, because there's really nothing on the screen except for one tweet, which is the overarching point on why Keemstar is being sued. I will show you that, but in terms of everything else, it is literally just black words on a white page, so nothing that exciting. So this is, says United States District Court of New York. So the lawsuit will be happening, and if it goes to court, which I don't even think it will be in New York. So it's Dennis versus Daniel Keem. So this is a jury trial, and it says that plaintiff Dennis, through his attorneys, Bond and the attorneys, complains of the defendant, Daniel Keem, as follows. Number 1, nature of the action. This action arises of the defendant's entirely fabricated statements that underage girls accused plaintiff of grooming plaintiff's victim, which gave the clear implication that plaintiff was engaged in P-word activities or was the subject of accusations of engaging in P-word grooming. Defendant has since admitted that these were complete fabrications. So that was Keemstar made the claims, and then Keemstar said that he was just lying. Parties. Number 1, plaintiff is natural person in Los Angeles, California, and then number 2, the defendant is a person in New York. Alright, and then it has their addresses, which obviously we're not going to read out, and then it goes to jurisdiction and venue. Jurisdiction is the proper pursuit. It gives the specific one that this is going to be fighting, and then it says, because the amount in controversy, so basically from my knowledge, what Dennis has lost because of Keem, what he is now seeking back, is $75,000. So, again, from my knowledge, that is what Dennis wants back. $75,000. Because it says, because the amount in controversy exceeds $75,000. This is going to sound so ironic coming from a drama channel, but it feels so weird to me in general whenever I find out how much money any YouTuber makes, but especially people within the same field as me, whereas you're suing someone, so that's not even the entire amount that you own. You're suing someone for $75,000, so that's just like money that you lost technically, so you make a lot more than that. I don't know, it's a really big turnoff for me, and I'm not pissy about talking about money. Like, me and my friends talk about it all the time. I think it is a generational thing normally. However, in this particular instance, in anything that happened with like Teddy Westbrook defamation cases, hearing about how much money a YouTuber makes me just really turn off to the idea of them. And again, that is so ironic because YouTube is my job, and I completely put my hands up and say that. However, it just kind of like, oh, like that's what they care about, like the money. And again, completely ironic, coming from someone who this is my job. But all I'm saying is, when you're seeing this on paper about like a drama channel like Dennis, and Keemstar is way more established than him, it's like $75,000 is what you're saying you lost basically because of Keemstar, but you never stopped uploading videos. What do I know? And the parties are citizens of different states, with the plaintiff being a citizen of California and defendant of New York. So again, Dennis, LA, Keem, New York. Personal jurisdiction and venue are predicted under this code and then a different one, so it's literally just like court orders. Since defendant is a resident of New York, so basically because they're in 2 different states, I think from my knowledge it'll kind of be which one that they fight in, because they can't necessarily, in my opinion, from what I know over here, you can't really fight someone in a lawsuit in 2 different states because you can't really do that over here in countries. So I'm just trying to establish that in states, because America is more so like state to state than the UK would be like country to country. Alright, so it goes on and says that choice of loss, this is the next one. California law applies to the claims brought by plaintiff, and first, the plaintiff was a citizen of California at the time the defamatory statements were published. Second, defendant had knowledge that plaintiff resided in California when he made the statements. Therefore, defendant knew the brunt of the harm would be felt in California. Background. Plaintiff is a popular YouTuber who posts under the content name Def Noodles. Plaintiff also posts on his Twitter and other social media. Well, used to. He got his Twitter deleted. Defendant is a popular YouTube personality who posts under the name Keemstar. Defendant also posts on his Twitter and other social media accounts. And then this line is so cringe to me. This entire thing is... This line in a lawsuit from Dennis suing Keemstar says, plaintiff and defendant are direct competitors in the social media influencer industry. Cringe. Boo. Tomato, tomato, tomato. I'm throwing tomatoes. Cringe, cringe, cringe. That's like direct competitors in the influencer space. Ooh. Don't we literally make fun of influencers who talk like this? Okay. So now we have the tweet. So for a little bit of explanation, this is where I stand on this. Keemstar made a tweet that says, Def Noodles has allegedly groomed girls from the ages of 12 to 15. Big YouTuber source says victims are scared to come forward and wish to stay anonymous, but may come forward soon. Hashtag drama alert. Def Noodles has declined to give us a comment on these allegations made against him. So the tweet literally just looks like this. Context of the tweet. When this was posted, and I don't think, by the way, I talked about this in a live stream. For everything I am about to say right now, not once am I ever condoning Keemstar's tweet. I think Keemstar's tweet, it's not funny. I think it's disgusting. To me, there's no comedic value in it. And it's not even like a good tweet at all. It's like there's nothing of substance there for me. But I think it's completely ironic for Dennis to have a problem with this tweet whenever Dennis was very much so exposed. And this again is someone that I do, especially being a drama channel, like I had a lot of respect for Dennis. Dennis was the person on the James Charles controversy. You know, the James Charles grooming P-word stuff. And there were, from James Charles's knowledge, 2 boys that he confirmed that he had acted inappropriately towards. Too many, by the way. So, in my overarching point here, James Charles is disgusting, Keem is disgusting for this tweet, but I think it's important to give a little bit of insight to what Dennis was doing during this time as well, from someone who was literally watching it all unfold. So, James Charles confirms that 2 happened. Dennis had posted a new victim. Now again, this is not taking away from the actual victims of James Charles, because there are. Dennis was posting a new victim of James Charles what felt like every hour. Realistically, it was like 1 a day, 1 every 2 days. And many of those people, at the time that Dennis had uploaded this boy comes forward on TikTok, he says this, he shared these DMs. For a couple of those, and this was why a lot of people had problems with Dennis, and why there are so many commentary, drama videos on Dennis calling him out from this from a year ago. This is public knowledge. So many of those people that he posted had already, at the time of Dennis posting it, had already responded to a comment or had already deleted the videos and had said that they saw that people were actually coming forward. So they pretended and they lied because they knew it would get them clout and followers. How fucking disgusting is that for those boys to do? I don't care what age you are, that's fucking disgusting for you to do. However, that was also public knowledge that they had put out these statements and they were trolling. It's not funny, it's not a joke. It's important to note that for a lot of those coverages of James Charles, the reason Keemstar's tweet is worded like this, it's because that was how Dennis was tweeting about James Charles. Where it would say, James Charles has, you know, another alleged victim that's come forward between this age. This source says this, they wish to stay anonymous. Or, this is the source and it's on a TikTok. Or, this is the source and it's on an Instagram comment. So, Keemstar's tweet is wrong, it's disgusting, it's not funny. And ironically, Keemstar's the one who's dated 20-year-olds. But also, Dennis was the one who was tweeting similar things like this that were not true about James Charles. So what I believe that's going to happen here is that Keemstar is going to bring James Charles into this lawsuit. And if he does that, James Charles can sue Def Noodles and can countersue him, basically being like, you're saying this is an issue, that he said this about you. You said, look at the threads you made. Like, Insider were covering it, NBC were covering it, YouTubers were covering it, Frenemies was covering it. You were their source. You were the source of a lot of people coming forward against James Charles, who a lot of them said that they were lying for clout. And, you know, a lot of people say, well, Adam, you know, Dennis retracted his statements. Okay, that's great. That is the bare minimum. James Charles is an awful, awful, awful person, and he did that to a number of people. He admitted it. That does not mean that you can go around posting threads of other victims who are coming forward who are openly saying that they're lying or doing it for clout, or they're messaging their friends, and it's all publicly. You just need to search for it. Which Dennis is a news source, and you would think that. It's not just like a drama channel, like taking a screenshot, you know what I mean, and like talking about it. So, that to me is the most bizarre point about this entire thing. Because I personally believe that what Keemstar has done here is mocking what Dennis did to James. I don't think any of them are in the right here. I don't think Dennis is. James certainly isn't. And Keemstar certainly isn't. So I'm not necessarily rooting for anyone in this. Does that make me an awful person? Like, I just kind of think that it's like, Keemstar has said that he did this and then knew that it was false. And a lot of people are like, well, that's the difference. Dennis didn't know that the stories about James were false. Yeah, but he also knew that whenever he would post a new one, he would get like 10,000 followers or so much engagement on Twitter. So, you're doing it for gain. I don't know. That's really like my overarching point on this. It just seems hypocritical. Again, Dennis should come for Keemstar for this tweet. It's awful. But I just think that if it's at that standard, James can also do the same to Dennis. And I just think that he needs to be careful. Because if you say to a judge, you know, well, I covered 20 victims, say a number, right? And three of them, four were real. The judge is going to be like, okay, well, what about the other 16? Because a lot of people were like, and this doesn't take away from the actual victims here. That's the important part. A lot of people were like, oh my god, every single day, like there's a new story coming about James Charles, a new victim. And then that was taking away from the actual ones. So, I don't know. I'm going to be honest with you, that's just my opinion on it. It just kind of seems, unfortunately, tit for tat. It's all awful. It's all awful. I understand completely why Dennis is very upset about this. I also understand that Keemstar was doing, and I don't like Keemstar, but I even acknowledge that Keemstar was doing this to prove a point, where so many other people were making like exposed videos on Dennis for exactly what Keemstar has done here, but what he did to James, because it was then taking away from the actual people speaking up. It just seems to me. On May 21st, 2021, on his verified Twitter account, defendant posted the following tweet, and it was the tweet. The statements were complete and utter fabrications. There were no allegations. Oh, and by the way, James openly acknowledges about Def Noodles posting so many stories a day and how, you know, overwhelming, and how, you know, you would start to feel a certain way and stuff. And again, that doesn't take away from the actual victims here, but it was openly acknowledged even at that time about the coverage. The statements were complete and utter fabrications. There were no allegations by any girls, underage or not, that the plaintiff had groomed them or otherwise engaged in inappropriate behavior. Moreover, contrary to defendant's false claims, neither defendant nor anyone acting on defendant's behalf made any attempt to seek comment on the fabricated lies. To the contrary, defendant blocked plaintiff on Twitter, ensuring he would have no ability to publicly respond to defendant's fabricated claims. Those who read and commented on the tweet clearly understood it as stating so the lawsuit is now saying that everyone believed Keemstar's tweet. So the replies were filled with people openly acknowledging and believing that this was real news, which is not true. But I guess on paper that looks great on your behalf. For example, the next day on May 22nd, a user with the Twitter handle Memlin responded to the tweet and said, "Showing them girls his little noodles." Another user said, "So Def Noodles might be a P word?" And again, both tweets are horrible. All the tweets are horrible. Unfortunately, it's Keemstar's like response on replies on Twitter. They're always awful, and that doesn't make it okay. But they were trolling Dennis. they were trolling Dennis, that does not make it okay. They were trolling Dennis because they were trying to prove a point that his coverage of James was damaging. The same way Dennis is saying this coverage is damaging to his career, people were saying that his coverage of James was damaging to James and the YouTube ecosystem and the news ecosystem. Plaintiff also received direct messages and tweets asking for him to comment on the false allegations in the tweet and expressing that they understood the tweet to make the accusation that plaintiff was the subject of allegations of grooming and involved in P-word. The day of the tweet, a user with the Twitter handle Ashley tweeted, "Hopefully MSM picks up on this. Can't have another P-word running around this platform." So MSM, a platform that doesn't even exist anymore. Again, these tweets are not okay and they're not funny, but they're trolling him. It doesn't make it okay. They were all trolling him to try prove to him that what he was doing with James and not being careful with his coverage was damaging to James's career, whether you like James or not. And again, I don't like James, don't think his career should even exist now. But they were saying that, look what you're doing to a person, someone could also do it to you. Like if you're doing it on like baseless claims or no claims at all. Other tweets called for an official investigation and to believe all victims, but the truth was there was nothing to investigate and there were no victims, not even alleged ones. And defendant knew this, yet he allowed his lies to spread like wildfire around social media while remaining silent. Although plaintiff tried to defend himself on his own accounts, his social media following was not as broad as defendant's. His efforts were not able to kind of get rid of the harm that was caused by the campaign. So all I'm saying here is that nothing in this is right, because James could also say that Dennis making a literal Twitter, he literally made a Twitter thread of James Charles victims. Literally a thread, like for people to click on it, and they could like scroll and scroll and scroll, and it was new one. That's a campaign. I don't like James, I don't think James should have a career, but that is a campaign. As such, plaintiff's reputation was injured because of this. And then Keemstar responded basically that he wasn't taking it seriously at all. Alright, my overarching point on this is I don't think it's going to go anywhere. But we'll see. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. I just think that in the wake of what we just talked about a few days ago, where Dennis was addressing for the first time the Ethan gay drama, and he spent his entire, like, only video addressing the drama with Ethan. Again, he covers drama with everyone else. He spent a majority of the video trying to persuade people to, look over there, Keemstar is homophobic, or more homophobic. So it's like, I really don't be rooting for either of you, honestly. You or Keem, I just think that, like, you both do it to each other. The same way that he's saying this about Keemstar ruining his career, I mean, he spent the entire video that was supposed to be talking about Ethan being allegedly homophobic, talking about how Keemstar was actually homophobic. That's all I have to say. Let me know your opinion, though. Boy.